So I was into like one of those lists of my favorite albums. There's like I should write this down. If I just did it off the top of my head, it's like I always forget, one or two. It's like cause I have all these favorites, but I'm not always thinking about my favorite albums. A lot of them I haven't listened to for a while, so I'll be like, just at the top of my head, it's hard to kind of like remember every one. So I think about it, it's like most of the music I like, my favorite stuff was probably 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. I think all my favorite albums are from one of those decades. So, if you look at 60s, what's my favorite albums from the 60s? Obviously, it's like Jimi Hendrix's, first three albums. Even though I also like The Cry of Love, which was this compilation album that was made, I think after he passed. But I used to listen to it either on cassette when I was in high school, and I used to listen to it all the time. And I like, the stuff he was working on, later after Electric Ladyland, he was working on like stuff like Freedom and Easy Rider and Angel and just getting back from the storm. I just came back today. Just came back from the storm. That's a good song. I still love that album. So I would say that was probably one of my favorites from Jimmy's too. So the Art Experience, Axis Balls Love and Electric Ladyland, and of course those three are like perfect albums. All three. A mixture of great virtuosity plus great songwriting, So I got that. Then what else do I like? So Jimmy, the Doors albums. Especially LA Woman and Morrison Hotel. Those two albums are great. Both of those albums are like really good. So, Morrison Hotel has Peace Frog and Ship of Fools, Don't Ship of Fools, and Road Blues, and of course LA Woman has LA Woman and Don't Riders on the Storm, which is another great song. Oh, what else? Of course, all the Beatle albums. Every Beatle album is perfect, and they're all my favorites. How many Beatles albums did they do? 13, 14 albums? 12? Well, those are my 12 favorite albums of all time, and then everything else is behind that. So it's like favorite Beatle albums, all. And then it's like, even the ones with the covers, because they did covers really well, you know what I mean? All that songs they did was like, they did the covers well, so, what did they cover? Till There Was You, and Money, and Rock and Roll Music, Dizzy Miss Lizzy, Act Naturally, Long Tall Sally, Kansas City, Hey, 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 Honey Dope. All those songs are great. What else is good? Great. From the 60s. Cream's Disraeli Gears. Actually, I have the whole Cream box set, which I like every Cream album. So it's all good. It's like, but of course Cream's like that blues rock thing. So you're into that blues, which I'm not necessarily into, but I do like, because I think blues is kind of like repetitive. Kind of similar pattern. So that's always the thing about blues. They always got me. But a lot of the words are good, and a lot of the virtuosity I like about blues. A lot of blues players. It's probably what I like about blues the most. But yeah, what else? Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan albums. Blonde on Blonde. This is kind of a bit of everything in it. So. But I'm listening to Bob more, and I'm discovering he's really, really good. And I used to think, Bob was just overrated, but I'm actually listening to it, and his voice isn't bad. He's got a voice. He's got a good voice, I think. I don't know why people don't like it. Maybe because it's very kind of the same. Kind of that kind of register. It's kind of, he sings similarly in everything. That's the way he sings. Like if you listen to like McCartney or someone else, he sounds different on different songs. He doesn't sound the same. On every song. So, but Bob tends to sound similar on every. Which is fine, some people have that. That's kind of sound. They have a way of sounding, and they always sound like that. But okay, yeah. So who else? The Who, to Sell Out, and Tommy are probably the two best ones from the 60s, I would say. Yeah. But yeah, Sell Out. It's like an album by The Who. It sounds like a BBC radio program, show, whatever. Yeah, so that one's pretty interesting and cool. Because they, it's like they have their own original songs, and plus they wrote these kind of fake commercials in between them, so it sounds like a radio show. Like Odorodo, which is like this deodorant commercial, and then there's Pearl Drums. No, Premier Drums, sorry. Premier Drums. Premier Drums. And they did one for that. They did one for Heinz Baked Beans, I think. They did one for what else? There's a few other ones. I don't know. But yeah. But yeah, Premier Drums. And then yeah, so that's a good album. And Rolling Stones. I'm starting to get into them more too, and I'm actually just like Bob Dylan. I'm starting to like appreciate them more because I actually got some of their albums from the library, and I'm listening to them, and it's like, yeah, it's really good. They are good. Bob Dylan and the Rolling Stones, I used to think not so much of, but now actually, yeah, they're actually pretty good, both of them. So yeah, who else? Of course, you got the Kinks, especially the album, the Village Green Preservation Society. That's probably my favorite album by them. We are the Village Green Preservation Society. God bless Mrs. Mom, Wolverine and variety. We are the Desperate Dan. Oh, that's a great album. But yeah, that's a good album. And the Animals. The thing about the albums, I haven't really actually listened to any of the albums, but I love a lot of their songs. You know what I mean? Dong 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 dong. Yeah, the Animals. I like a lot of their. It's my life. Yeah. Yeah, the Animals. No, it's like. Who else? The Moody Blues. Yeah, the Moody Blues. Especially Days of Future Past and In Search of the Lost Chord. That's a good album. That is. Ride my seesaw. Yeah, Ride my seesaw. I think Simple Games on that album. Always on the bonus tracks. Ding, 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 ding. Simple Game was like one of my favorite Moody Blues songs. Simple Game. It's written by Mike Pinder. But yeah, Simple Game. I actually covered that song. It's a really good song. It's hard to sing like them, because they got that all the echo on the voice, so it's like, yeah, it's a good song. Simple Game by the Moody Blues. Great song. But all their albums are great. Especially those late 60s ones with Justin Hayward. I mean, no offense to the early stuff, but that was just basically blues, and I don't really like a lot of that. Blues, people doing blues covers all the time, I kind of, but I like when people do their original stuff, and they come into their own, especially like Yes, a band like Yes, which also started in the late 60s. Their first album, I think, came out in 69, I think, something. Or 68, and their first album was the same kind of thing, but it was different. It wasn't just blues. It was like progressive rock versions of Beatles songs or something. I think they did a version of Every Little Thing, the Beatles song, a progressive rock version, which is cool. It was cool, but I just wanted them to do their own stuff. So when they first started doing their own stuff, that's when they became better. Like on the Yes album, which I think is the third album. So yeah. That came out in 1970, that third album. But then, of course, Led Zeppelin, their first album came out in 68. Led Zeppelin 1, Zeppelin 2 came out in 69. So you got Led Zeppelin and another. See, Zeppelin 1 and 2 are both great albums. I think all Zeppelin albums are great. Even the ones that critics didn't like as much, which is Presence and Into the Outdoor. I don't think critics like those albums as well. I'm not sure why. Because they were like Led Zeppelin, it was just a little continuation of what they were doing, But I think because the mixes on Presence and Into the Outdoor, the vocal mixes was very low vocal. The vocal was very low, which is always weird to me. But I think I understand why. I think Robert Plant